Okay, for this design, what we're going to do is work on the sweep operation. Sweep operation, we're looking to connect all of these entities together. So the big one that we want to look at is sketch 1, which is located here. That sketch tied inside there has a different two-dimensional profile on it. Yeah, you could put an extrude on this, but let's say that we put an oddball profile on the end of this for a sweep. The operation that we want to do is a sweep. And then off of doing this sweep, the first thing that happens when you select that sketch and you start the sweep operation is it wants to tell you what end to start it with. It doesn't matter on this profile which end we start the entity with. The zeros is just in case you want to extend the profile a little bit past that point on the item. So you can double click and put like 1 inch and it would go 1 inch out. Now the next item that you need to do is you need to hit sketch, and that's going to start you with a 2D profile right here at the end of this unit. So let's go ahead and hit the sketch and normalize. And on that normalize, now let's go in for palette, shape, and round. We're going to throw this one out here in space. We're going to spin it 90 degrees, and then we're going to pull it over to the center. But when we pull it over to the center, put it at a scale of like 0.4. Now, once you're looking at this, it's kind of hard to see, Frank. I can't see this profile. Well, you can shift and go into wireframe right here, or the other thing, you can go into wireframe here. Now, once you do that, you're going to notice some dimensioning. So let's pull out the max dimensions and min dimensions. They're putting max and a center point locator. So how are we going to fix that? How are we going to get that exactly in the middle of this other entity? Because right now, if we tend to grab anything or we grab it and we pull, we're okay. But if we double click on this one and change it like to 1 inch, you can see where it nudges us over. So the thing we don't want is we don't want that dimension, so touch it and hit delete. When that happens, now we need to put in symmetrics. So symmetric would be dot, dot, center line. And then on this one, the same scenario should happen. It's telling me an invalid section, so let's find out what happened there. It looks like we need a center line down the middle instead. So if we do a center line down the middle here, then what we can do is a coincidental instead. So we'll do a coincidental of this line to this line. There we go. Now the next thing we know is we're not symmetric down the middle of this part here. So if we were to skip up and go 1 inch here, we can see that it hops, skips, and jumps up. So let's put another center line in about this midpoint. And then coincidental of this center line to this center line. It's going to want to delete a dimension because I left that one driven. So let's take that one and let's delete it. Now the size of this factor on this design, let's go with 1.25. And then the height of it, let's try a 1.7. So that looks nice and dandy. Let's go with the fillet for the part. Let's go with 1/4 inch. And once you're done with that, go ahead and hit check. And then you'll notice the profile travel down the path. If you can't see it, turn yourself back up to shade with mode. And you get to see the profile. Now you notice when I make these parts, I make them to where there are actually no holes in these profiles, so you can do those later. And once you've got that into place, then now let's go in and we'll work on with datums a mirror operation. So let's take that sweep and let's mirror it. Now let's mirror it across the middle. And now we've got 2 of those in place. Now if you look at it, it looks like it's kind of eating up the profile size right here. So what you can do before we do that is we can double click and let's take that 1.7 all the way down to 1.5ish. And you'll see it shrink down. And that gives enough to where when they come in and build this profile, they can actually weld around the profile and put it in place. Now, next thing we need is we need something to tie these two entities together. So this one's not a sweep operation, it's just an extrude. So it's a quick extrude. So you grab the middle plane whenever you're doing an operation like this, hit extrude, and then off the extrude, let's draw ourselves two support rails that are going to be inside there. One here, and let's mirror it across. So let's say it's at 3.5, and it is 0.88875. So once we've got that into place, we'll go ahead and mirror that entity across and start our extrude. When our extrude comes, this is where it gets kind of tricky. We want to come down here and we want to move from blind to through all. And then over here for through all. And then once we've got that into play, you can see the support rails into place. Last would be the holes. Holes I suggest to actually run in a sport extrude cut. So we'll run the middle plane. We'll send reference of this outside profile and that outside profile. Now we'll put in our size of our holes. So our holes, we'll copy the holes. So that's an R1 copy. And let's say it's a 1.51. And then that will go extrude. And on this, we'll do the same thing on depth. We'll go through all and through all. Then we need to subtract material. This is removing material right here. And hit check. Now you've got it into place. If you want to add some extra fillets, just playing around, go ahead. But this pretty much finishes the operation up. If you want to switch over to shade mode looks pretty good here. And if you notice, I did it vertical like this. That's how the support rail was really in the design. So it was up vertical like this. So if you want to get rid of the shadow, let me show you a trick. What you do is you look through the shadow. So right here, we're looking through the shadow. So now the shadow will disappear on this part. All right, talk to you guys later. Have a good day.